For the first time in years, Google has encountered a real danger to its decade-long monopoly on search. The latest Bing chat feature, which by the way runs on GPT-4, can give you the exact information that you're searching for in seconds without having to look at any ads. This is because GPT-4 can process a tremendous amount of textual input at once. Besides, it is more creative and can even pass a bar exam in the top 10th percentile, while the previous version was only in the lower 10th. But while the exact details of accessing some of its groundbreaking features like image processing remain unknown, the Beta API offers some clues. So in this video, let's learn how this latest AI developments work by building a Bing clone that utilizes GPT-4 API under the hood so you can be ahead of the curve when the public version is finally released. But before we get started, I wanted to share some important details I learned while exploring the GPT-4 Beta API. First, it's worth noting that the model is designed specifically for chat-based interactions. This means that it uses the same endpoint as ChatGPT and that the previous completions API endpoint is not available. Second, it still does not have access to the internet and the knowledge cutoff is still only September 2021, which means that GPT-4 does not even know that it exists. And third, its image processing capabilities are still unclear. I tried passing links to images inside prompts like we do with Midjourney, but it didn't work. Nevertheless, it does seem to provide much better responses, especially with long texts. So now, let's get started. To kick off this project, the first thing we need to do is install the necessary packages. For the front-end UI, we'll be using Gradio, a library that allows us to quickly build machine learning apps. To retrieve the search results from the web, we'll be using a Google API Python client. And finally, to call the GPT-4 API, we'll be using a package named OpenAI. Once we have these packages installed, we can get started on our chatbot. First, let's create a file named main.py, import the packages, and set the OpenAI API key. We can start building our chatbot by creating a class named Google Chat. This class will contain all the methods we need to abstract the functionality of the bot, and it is named like this because it will actually be using Google Search API under the hood and because it is the only thing that can help Google survive. In the constructor of this class, we'll need to initialize the Google Custom Search Service with an API key, which you can get by clicking the following link. The GitHub repo for this project will be in the description. To get the key, simply click Get Key, choose Create New Project, click Next, and copy the value. Now, let's create a method that will actually search Google with our query and return the search results. This method will call the Google Custom Search API with our query and search engine ID. To get your search engine ID, go to your control panel using the next link over here, click Add, enter your name, choose Search the entire web, and click Create. Finally, we'll extract the items from the response which contain the search results and return them. Now, let's create a method that will convert our latest message to the search query, which we can use with the Google API. This method will accept only two parameters, which are history and query. History is an object from Gradio which represents the messages to display on our front end. We'll take only the user messages from history, as the assistant messages are not necessary for the model to extract the context. The prompt would be simply, based on my previous messages, what is the most relevant web search query for the text below. This should allow ChatGPT to convert our latest message into a search query even if the subject is not mentioned. For example, if the conversation was about Elon Musk and the latest message is how old is he, the search query should be how old is Elon Musk. For this method, it makes sense to use the ChatGPT API instead of GPT-4 since it does not require complex or long text processing and since ChatGPT API is a lot faster than GPT-4. Now, let's start writing the main method for this chatbot, which is run text. Like the previous method, it will accept history and the query parameters. First, we'll convert the latest message or the query parameter into a relevant search query with the other method that we just defined. Next, we'll define a system message for the GPT-4 API. In this case, I'm saying that you are a search assistant that answers questions based on search results and provides links to relevant parts of your answer. This gives some context for the model and allows us to see citations in the responses similar to what we see in a new Bing chat. After that, we'll unpack the history into our messages. Here, you can go even further by parsing the individual pages to provide even more context to the model. However, most of the time, snippets contain more than enough information already. Now, we can call the new GPT-4 API. It works the same way as ChatGPT API and uses the exact same parameters. If you want to learn more about what each of these parameters does, check out my previous video here. For our use case, we'll simply decrease the temperature so that the model does not digress. Finally, we'll add our latest message and a response from GPT-4 API to the history and return it from this method. Now we just have to initialize Google Chat at the end of our script and create a UI with Gradio. We will be using Gradio Blocks, which is a module within Gradio that provides pre-built UI components. In this case, we will will add the Chatbot component, which creates a nice chat interface almost instantly. Underneath our Chatbot component, we will also create a text field and a button to clear the history. On submit, we will simply run our main method from the Google Chat class and provide the necessary parameters. Then we can launch our demo with the demo.launch command. The window should pop up and you should see your app live. As I said earlier, GPT-4 does not actually know about its existence. However, if I ask our chatbot when was GPT-4 released, it will actually provide a valid date with a citation. Then we can also ask what makes it special, and it will respond with the special features of GPT-4 in particular, because we are extracting the relevant context for the search query with the getSearchQuery method, so the search results are actually relevant to our conversation. If we simply googled what makes it special, the results would be completely random. And finally, let's ask one last question, which is what is the future of AI, so we all know what to expect. Seems like AI is about to transform many industries, including healthcare and education. Keep in mind that these answers are mostly based on the web results that we provide to the model and not on model's knowledge itself. That's it. Hope you just saved Google from collapse with your chatbot, and if you want to learn more about how to leverage the power of AI, don't forget to subscribe.